Today's story is titled Grandma's Cookbook by Joe Ross, or Inevitable Weather 56. The link to the story is in the description below. Please enjoy. When my grandmother died, oddly, nobody cried but me. Not my mother, not my father, not my aunts or uncles. It was a small funeral. Just my family was there socializing instead of mourning like me. I tried to smile as I looked around at old photographs of Grandma standing in her garden, flour on her apron, and a wooden spoon in her hand. Seeing that picture made me think of the family get-togethers where she would always cook a big special feast, she called it. Even when I was sick, Grandma would be at our house cooking a special chicken noodle soup for me. Remembering these moments and seeing her in a casket broke me down again. I sat in the front pew, tears running down my face, wondering if grief had broken something inside me, or if it had skipped everyone else entirely. I loved my grandmother, but she always scared me a little. She smiled too wide, knew when people were lying before they spoke, and she smelled funny, but I still loved her, and I know she loved me. She was never mad at me or scolded at me. Every time I looked at her, she was glaring at me with that wide smile. I used to watch her cook sometimes, and she never measured ingredients while cooking. She'd toss things into a pot with absolute certainty and say, "The old ways don't need measuring cups." After the funeral, my parents asked me to help clean out her house. I found her recipe book in the kitchen drawer beneath the oven mitts. The cover was cracked leather, stained dark around the edges. Embossed in fading gold letters were the words, Edna's Cookbook. Despite everything, I smiled. I flipped a couple pages. Chicken soup, 1 whole chicken, carrots, celery, onion, fresh thyme, 3 drops of infant tears collected before sunrise. I frowned. I turned the page. Birthday cake, flour, sugar, eggs, vanilla extract, hair from the celebrant's first haircut. I laughed nervously, then I kept reading. Pot roast, chuck roast, potatoes, beef stock, rosemary, garlic, 1 baby tooth from each member of the household. My laughter faded. The further I read, the worse it became. Dried blackbird hearts, fingernails, ashes from a funeral pyre, blood willingly given. Some recipes had notes written in Grandma's looping handwriting. For difficult children, for neighbors who pry, use only if the fever peaks after midnight. I slammed the book shut. That night, I drove straight to my parents' house. I dropped the cookbook onto the kitchen table. "Have you looked at this?" I asked. My mother adjusted her glasses. My father looked down at the cracked leather cover. Neither of them looked surprised. My dad picked up the book and flipped through the first page, second page, third page, then back up to me. Finally, my dad said, "Oh." "Oh?" I snapped. "Grandma kept recipes with blood and teeth in them, and your response is, 'Oh?'" Mom glanced at Dad, then back at me. "We always thought you knew," she said softly. "Knew what? That Grandma was a cannibal?" Awkward silence. Then my mom and Dad erupted in laughter. Wiping tears from her face, my mom replied, "No, silly. We thought you knew that your grandmother was a witch." This time, I laughed. They didn't. "You can't be serious." Dad rubbed the back of his neck. "She stopped practicing publicly before you were born," he said. "People were less understanding back then." Then he looked at me, scratching his head. "You don't remember her taking you on the broom ride when you were about 9 years old? She took you out in the middle of the night on her broom. We couldn't even be mad at her. She said you were old enough to know the family secret. You were so young you must have forgot." Mom nodded. "Most of those recipes were protection charms." I stared at them. "The baby teeth? Protection. The blood? Healing. The blackbird hearts." Mom hesitated. "We didn't ask about those." Silence settled over the room. Then my father reached for the book. He slowly turned page after page, his expression unreadable. The room was quiet, except for the soft, incoherent voice of my dad reading. Then he stopped. "Hell. What is it?" my mother whispered. Dad didn't answer at first. Then he read aloud from the page. "Resurrection funeral feast. Lamb, fresh rosemary, sea salt, ashes from the deceased. One family gathered willingly at the table. A single tear collected from each family member. The heart of the first grandchild." I waited for Dad to laugh, to call it a sick joke. Instead, he carefully closed the recipe book and rested his trembling hand on the cover. When he finally looked up at me, there were tears in his eyes for the first time since the funeral. "You were the only one who cried," he said quietly. I frowned. "What does that have to do with anything?" His voice cracked. "Because everyone else already knew she'd come back. We didn't know how or when, but she told us she'll be back." My mother reached for his arm. "Please," she whispered, but Dad pulled away, his gaze never leaving me. "I've waited a long time for this recipe," he said. "Your grandmother died before teaching it to me." That's when I realized the tears on his face weren't from grief. They were from relief. Relief that he will see his mother again.